Alrighty, Fitwell folk. And I've got another great webinar here with Roger Fabri from Speed Academy, who's going to talk more about who he is, what he does, and his involvement in the Fitwell platform itself. So good one, Roger. How are you going today?
Good. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
My pleasure, mate. Now, tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you've evolved to become, I suppose, Roger Fabri Speed Academy. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I've been in the speed industry for around probably 35 years now, so I've got some extensive experience there. Started my own speed academy around 11 years ago. Have always been just a handy athlete. Mainly my knowledge and my involvement in the industry in the early stages was personal development, as opposed to, I didn't ever think that I was going to become a coach full-time, or certainly have 16 coaches underneath me. It was always a side gig. I've always been in the corporate world, working in sales and marketing. I didn't have the luxury in the early days of having a platforms like this that I could go and get information and understand to develop my craft significantly without having to move to a different country. In the early days, that's the only way I got any education, was to going, listening to authorities who had recognition in different parts of the world and understanding speed face to face. That was the only way. We had no social media, so it was quite expensive, but it was my passion, and I was driven by my passion. And the only reason I wanted to get the knowledge was so I could be a better athlete myself. I never had the ability to be born with genetics that would get me to run at the highest level, but I was decent. But it didn't matter if I didn't have the ability, because that was something I couldn't control. The passion and determination and to be the best version of myself was something I could control. And traveling overseas allowed me to be and upskill myself in front of these people. And now I've got a position as probably the leading speed coach in this country, and I take that very seriously, and I'm very proud of the achievement that I've got.
Yeah, brilliant. So that growth mindset that you've definitely mentioned to us has served you so well, that you've travelled, you've learned from the best, you've cultivated this eclectic mix of wonderful knowledge that gives Speed Academy its authority. Can you tell us a bit more about who you work with? Is it purely athletes, or a little bit more of that, if you don't mind?
I'm pretty sure that anybody that's watching this, that anybody that they aspire to be, I've worked with them.
Wow.
So whoever's the leading high profile, again, I hope this doesn't sound big-headed, but if you wanted me to go into name dropping, I think the whole 10 minutes that you want to spend with me, I could take that whole time up, because I probably train every high profile person of each code in this country. And not only have I only done that, I have managed to be on a coaching role with the Dallas Cowboys, doing their speed program through training camp, which was a highly sought after position that many coaches all over the world tried to get. And when I was trying to make a name for myself, that was a very big achievement of my own. And that was just through persistence and consistency of turning up each year to all NFL clubs and knocking on the door and asking for an opportunity. And I think that just showed, me having to travel halfway around the world, how much commitment I had to my craft.
Terrific. Yeah, I could definitely comes across that way, Roger. And certainly it's a privilege having you involved in Fitwell. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about your particular sessions on Fitwell and what the viewer, is expected to learn?
I think I just sort of touched on it already, that as soon as the concept was brought towards me, and then I go back to my younger years and saying, if this was only around when I was around, my life would be so much easier. I would be much more affordable. Don't forget, back then there was only one or two airlines flying to the US. It was heavily expensive to go. And that's even before I looked at accommodation or paying for the opportunity to listen to the speaker. And it was time consuming. As I said, it wasn't my main job, so I only got 4 weeks holidays a year. And usually my family, I begrudged them that family time because I was selfish to try and go overseas to go and broaden my own horizon. And then coming back, I'd have 2 or 3 days before I could go back to work again. So if I had an opportunity when I was younger to have to get on a platform like this and upskill myself without having to move from the lounge room, that's a no-brainer. Not only have you guys presented me with the concept that the people that I understand are my co-presenters and co-lecturers in this come from a very high level as well. So I also like to associate with people of that category.
Yeah, brilliant. So you're one of collaboration. We were having a chat earlier before we went live. Collaboration's really meaningful for you, and obviously this idea has stirred this newfound opportunities that you can then share your knowledge to many more people, and certainly not just in the athletic space, but also the fitness trainer who's helping a mother become a little bit more efficient in her movement. And perhaps, the grandfather who's wanting to kind of become more proficient in his gait. So can you tell us a little bit more about your sessions, like some technical components, the outcomes?
I think that the one thing that you'll see that I'll be able to differentiate myself from the other speakers that are on here, I'm going to come from a very experienced base as opposed to a knowledge base. I didn't come from a Bachelor of Science or human movement. I come from a coaching practical component. Everything that I've progressed through is through experiences. So I've either failed and learnt or used what I've got and maximized it. And the only way that you can ever do these things, as opposed to reading from a textbook, is by coaching and trying and seeing how these things work. So I know my philosophies or techniques or whatever you may want to call them work because I have 35 years of data behind me. Mm. So I've failed at many, many things and I've passed at so many things as well. Not everybody, it doesn't mean that everything you hear on any platform is right or wrong. It's just what works for you and what doesn't, and what works for your athlete or doesn't. So I think this is one thing that your listeners will get from me is a real opportunity coming from experience, that everything that I'm going to put forward, I know has worked because I've used it.
Brilliant. So coming from this practical, experiential perspective, which I feel would resonate a lot with fitness professionals who are on the ground. I mean, we talked earlier about you loving to coach. So tell us a little bit more about your passion to coach. I mean, you're drawn by the energy you were saying earlier.
Yeah, energy, interaction. That's my skill, and that's my forte. Is the ability to be able to be a chameleon. I can coach at the highest level in front of a 10-year-old or a 50-year-old. It doesn't matter. I can speak the same language. I understand that. Maybe not being always in a classroom has given me the opportunity to be able to talk street talk or real talk and to be able to get the best out of people. That's where I'm strongest. So I can feel a vibe. I can roll with a vibe. I can make a vibe fire. That's my expertise. People perform for me.
Wonderful. So you obviously look to get the best out of people through your powerful ways of communicating and getting the message across. I can hear that really loud and clear.
That's why I'm the #1 speed coach in this country, undeniably.
Beautiful. We're really privileged to have you part of this platform, and those listeners who haven't yet jumped on, you'll be able to get 14 days free access to check Roger out and really understand the great man and hear what he has to say and certainly learn. It's a very practical presentation, isn't it, that you give?
It is. It needs to be, because when you go out into the field, people want to be coached. They're not going to a Bachelor of Arts.
Exactly. So it's not in the head. It is transformed through the experience and interaction of being on the field, on the ground.
They're going out there to trust the process of the coach. They're only there to listen to a message that you've got to deliver.
100%. Totally agree and concur with that. Having my background almost similar in a sense of traveling the US and the globe, learning, and really in the end of the day, it is a practicality of being able to deliver a message and to enhance the coaching skill sets
in its most simplified version. That's what's the key. The most simplified version. If I come out with all these abstract names and you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, then am I actually coaching you?
Exactly. Well, it becomes less about the person or the athlete or client and more about the ego,
Self.
right? Yeah, the self.
Exactly.
No, it's
so leave that. Let's just leave that behind and understand I'm fire. I just deliver.
Beautiful. Well, I love it, and we can continue to go on and on, but I think it's good that the listener can have a bit of a sense of who you are, your capabilities, and what you're going to be delivering, not just the initial content, but an ongoing basis. And as I said, we're a dynamic platform. We're gonna have you on our live Q&As, Roger. We're gonna
go crazy. Can you also tell them one thing?
Sure.
If they get a little bit insecure, just Google me and see how many high-level media presentations, not social media, the big screen. That's where I get. I'm on the big screen nonstop.
Brilliant. And obviously they can just search your name, Roger Fabri Speed Academy.
And then they don't need to say anything else. It's just there.
Yeah, it's there to cross-check and certainly jump on the Fitwell platform again, 14 days. Roger's here. He'll continue to deliver fire on not just his pre-filmed sessions, but also we're in discussions about a course that will be coming out in time, but also quarterly workshops. So we're gonna have you well and truly fired up and giving fire.
And listeners, just before I go, I am extremely humble at the same time, but I need to be arrogant and confident at the same time, because if I don't believe I'm fire, then how the hell can I make you fire?
Yeah, exactly. Fire begets fire. And I totally agree on that. You need a balance. One needs a balance of as you say, it's humility, but it is this drive, this passion to
be number one.
To be number one, you need to really be accountable and learn it.
If you don't believe it, then how can I be number one?
100%. But the other thing that I want to sort of echo again to the listeners is your growth mindset. You weren't fixed. So although you humbly admitted that you weren't the greatest athlete because of genetics, that didn't deter you from becoming the number one speed coach.
Absolutely.
And I think that's tremendous. And that I've already see Roger, like I've already got these goosebumps. I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it. And it's a pleasure to have this conversation and certainly to have you on the platform. And remember that for those subscribers, just click on the link to the platform to get your 14 days and check out Roger and all of the many other great presenters that we do have. Until next time, keep firing.
Thank you.